Hello, it's the 29th, and I haven't done a lot of filming in the last few days. It's just been, I don't know, I think I'm a little burnt out. Like, daily vlogging every day in June was wonderful, easy. And then now in July, it's gotten to be a little more tricky. And then right now, I'm kind of on the move, and I had a great time. Actually, I did vlog my day that we went to Hearst Castle, but then I didn't vlog the next day. And I'm just not getting a lot of content. Like, I did get B-roll, but I haven't gotten a lot of like actual book reading content. Part of that's because I'm just not reading that much, but I am reading stuff right now, so I want to tell you a little bit about it. I'm currently on my way up to Dunsmuir, which is just west of Mount Shasta. Yeah, just west of Mount Shasta. I'm staying in a little Airbnb there, and then I'm gonna be up in Portland the next night. So like, I'm on my way back home. This trip is coming to an end, and I'm ready for it, to be honest. It's been a great trip. I've had a lot of good times, but it's almost been a kind of exhausting trip. It's one of those trips where I feel like I could use a vacation from my vacation when I get back home. But we have a lot of fun things planned for August, so I'm not concerned. I think I'm gonna have a great August. Hopefully I'll get a job. If not, I'll just start subbing in September, and that's like, summer's coming to an end. It's pretty wild. Right now we're getting ready for Pick Pongathon, which happens in August. So I didn't put out a TBR video because I'm not having a lot of time to actually film and stuff like that, because I'm really just on the road. And if I get a chance to do some video stuff, I really need to edit because I'm really behind on my daily vlogs right now. But we'll see what happens. But I'm excited about August. I have a lot of really good books on the roster, books that I plan on reading. And because I haven't been in a huge reading mood this month, I'm hoping that next month I'll feel reinvigorated to really get to those books. I'm currently listening to The Briar Club by Kate Quinn, and this is a mystery slash historical fiction, which Kate Quinn typically does. And it's about this place called the Briar Club, which was a boarding house in the 1950s. These women all lived there, and at the beginning of this, you're getting the perspective of the house, which is the Briarwood House, the Briarwood House, I think it's called. And the house is telling you how there's been a murder. And so we don't know anything about this murder, who's been murdered, but throughout the book, we start having sections where we're learning more about each individual that lives within the house. So you're learning about first Pete, the boy. He's the son of the woman who owns the boarding house. Then you learn about Nora, who's this young woman, Irish woman who comes from a big family, but she works for the archives, the National Archives. And then we learned about, what is her name? I can't think of it now because, what is her name? Rika, she's this older Hungarian woman. Really liked her section. I mean, I liked Nora's section, I liked Pete's section, but Rika's section I liked a lot. And now we're on to Fliss, who's this British woman who has a young daughter, a very crying, loud young daughter, and her husband is off in Japan. He's a military medic. So we're learning about these different people, and after each person's section is complete, we come back to the house and we learn a little bit more about the ongoing investigation as to who has died. And so, I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily one of those mysteries where you're supposed to have figured it out yourself, but each section leaves you with reasons why certain people might be in danger, because we don't know who was killed, so we don't know whose story leads to their possible death, and then of course who killed them. And it's called the Briar Club because this woman named Grace moved to this house, and before she moved there, the house mates didn't actually interact with each other at all. There was like no real homey feeling to the house, but Grace kind of goes against the rules of the house, and she started this thing they call the Briar Club. Every Thursday they have like a dinner party, and so all the people from the house, except the woman who owns the house, that's the night she goes to her poker club. So while she's off at her poker club, they secretly have this dinner party where they all kind of get to know each other, and they've become not necessarily friends. I wouldn't call it really strict friendships, but I would call it a household camaraderie that's formed, and it's a lot more homey feeling than it ever had been in the Briarwood house before. So that's what the book's about so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's probably not going to be my favorite Kate Quinn. I did like the other one I read. I've only read one by her so far, but I do have others I want to read. Like, I've heard The Huntress is amazing, and I own that. And what did I read by her? Or The Orphan's Tale. No, that wasn't Kate Quinn. That was Pam Jenoff. I read something else by Kate Quinn? What did I read by her? Hold on. I'm wrong. I've read nothing by Kate Quinn. You've heard of a lot of Kate Quinn's books. I read The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton, which I absolutely loved. And I was thinking of Pam Janoff when I was thinking of Kate Quinn. So I have not read anything by her, but I do own The Huntress. I do own that. So this is my first Kate Quinn, and I'm enjoying it. I like her writing style. I think this is a little slower paced than maybe some of her other books might end up being. You know, I'm thinking about The Huntress, but I do like historical fiction. So at this point, I'm really enjoying it. And I like the characters, like getting to know them. And Rika's been my favorite storyline so far. And I'm reading this because for the Herkid, for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, you have to read a new release each and every month. So this was released in July, and I'm getting it in before the end of July. The other book I'm currently reading, well, I'm supposed to be reading You're Invited by Amanda Giatisa. And last night when I went to pick up a book out of the car, because I was staying at Shell's house last night, and I went to grab You're Invited, and I was like, but I don't feel like reading that. And that's been my problem this month, is that I haven't felt like reading a lot of the books that I have been reading, or at least I haven't had great success reading this month. So I kind of wanted to just pick something up I felt like reading, even though it's not on my TBR. And I have Soul Eater by Lily Mayne with me, because I thought maybe I want to read this on this trip. And it's a good, easy romance, monster, smutty, male romance. Like, it was like, this will be a good book to take with me just in case I get extra time to read and finish my TBR. Never gonna happen. That was never gonna happen. But this is what I feel like reading right now. So I am, and I'm excited about it because I already know that I loved the first 10% of this, because this was one of my book Love is Blind books from last season, and I've been wanting to read it. I've been thinking about this one a lot. This is one of the ones that I was like, I kind of regret not picking that as one of my top 3. So I'm finally getting around to reading it, and it's about this guy who's in the military, and at this time, after basically like this apocalyptic situation, monsters are present in the world, and the world has been turned to a wasteland basically, and the military is basically trying to control these monsters, and these monsters come out and they kill people and they do things, and it's an awful life because all the people have gone to the cities where they try to squeeze into these little cities with tons and tons and tons of people, and then the rest of the US is left wasteland basically. And you can get out of the cities, the dirty, nasty cities, by either becoming someone who raids the land, a raider, or you can join the military. So this guy joins the military, and he hates it. He's not cut out for the military. Lots of people wandering around. I'm trying not to be embarrassed, but if this keeps shifting, I apologize. So for Soul Eater, at the beginning of this, our main character is just a grunt soldier, and he and a whole bunch of soldiers are meant to be cannon fodder in this situation where the special ops are going to kidnap or try and entrap, not kidnap, but try and entrap this monster called the Soul Eater. And the Soul Eater's known for having a hunt every 3 or 4 years where he goes around and just kills people, and it's seemingly random, but he doesn't kill everybody. He kills specific people. So the Soul Eater is intrigued by this soldier from the get-go. Like, he kills everybody else, just completely slaughters everybody, and then he saves well, I don't know if he saves, but he's distracted by this soldier, and he gets abducted, taken in by the military, and the only person he's willing to talk to, because the military wants answers, the only person he's willing to talk to is the soldier. So he keeps asking for the soldier who survived, the soldier who survived. And this is basically going into their situation where they're kind of talking back and forth. And so at the point where we are at, things have changed drastically, and we don't understand why, including the soldier doesn't understand why things have turned out the way that they have turned out. But I'm just enjoying this. It is so fun. I never thought I would be the person who would enjoy monster romances, but as is evident from the I Married a Lizard Man Prime Mating Agency series, I do tend to like them. I never thought I would like them. I didn't ever choose to read them, except for I read the first I Think I Married a Lizard Man through a prompt that was like, read a book you'd never think you would actually pick or enjoy. And then I read most of the other books in that series. And so now I'm like, oh, I think I like monster romances. I haven't got to any romance yet, but I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. And I like the writing style. It's at a good, quick pace. It's interesting, and the characters are fascinating, especially the monster. You're like, I don't quite understand what his deal is, but we're gonna find out. And yeah, that's that. So I will give you an update at some other point, or this will be part of a video. I don't know what my plan is right now for all these little random clips I have in these vlogs, but we'll find out when I start editing again. I did get a fruit cup because this place has a little fruit stand, so I'm gonna enjoy my fruit cup while I'm on my way. I didn't get one in Los Angeles, but I'm making up for it now, so I'm very excited about this because everything looks really fresh in here, and it's gonna be delicious. It has a lot of tahini and lime juice and salt, more than the last place gave me, so I think it's gonna be perfect. Okay, so I'm checked into my Airbnb and I'm ready to do some updates because I haven't updated this sheet. And I think I only have one thing I can update it with right now, but I want to double check. And then I want to update my Herkyed hardest reading challenge you'll ever do spreadsheet as well. So I don't know that I'll have much to add, but I want to update what I can. Okay, so first let's talk about this, because let me just pull up what I read recently. I did count this tortilla flat for fruit because of the wine. So that was the last thing I did. Now, since then, what have I finished? I don't think I finished much, but I did finish some things. I gotta count it. I finished A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Oh no, I did that too. So Iced is what I used for A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And then the time machine. So I did actually figure out what would work for the time machine. So for the prompt flowers, there's another book that's on there, but it's not going to be the one that I use for that. I don't think I have an eraser with me, but that's okay. In the time machine, one of the things that's talked about quite a bit is how flowers and different plants, but flowers especially, have been cultivated over the hundreds of thousands of years. And they're very significant to the story because he is able to notice the perfection and the differences in the flowers around him and how they've evolved over time to be, I guess, their most perfect flowers. And it's a conversation he has within the book, and it is also something that he kind of comes back to occasionally within the story. And there's significance at the ending with flowers. So I would say that flowers works really well for the time machine, and so I'm going to count that as a prompt because I am, not that I need to rush through this, but you know, I want to be able to do the activities that I win before the end of summer. I know that that wasn't my favorite book, but I didn't necessarily need to read favorite books to be able to get the prompts on here. I'm trying to make whatever I've actually been reading work for this. Okay, so since this is the book, I'm going to be using my pink marker and I'm filling in the flowers section.
I had another book that I thought might work for this, but I'm going to go with the time machine because why not? We'll let that dry before I write down what it is.
But let's look at this. So this doesn't help me get a bingo anytime soon, but it's getting me a little closer to my final bingo. And I kind of put a halt on You're Invited just temporarily because I wanted to start reading Soul Eater. But I will get back to this. I haven't picked a new road trip book, but I'll worry about that later. And we'll see. And we'll see what if my audiobook that I'm currently listening to actually works for anything here. I got to think about that too. Okay, well, this is what I've got going on right now, and that's as updated as it's going to get at the moment. One thing I did do is I just purchased my 2 weeks of hot yoga for $7, and we're not going to start till next week because Jordan injured herself, her thumb, like bad. She was cutting something and she injured herself. So we're going to start that next week when everything is healing up well. And we're also planning on starting to play tennis. We want to just play, I enjoyed playing tennis a few times in the past, and I was like, I always wanted to get into it, but I never really did. So we're going to kind of play some tennis. Tennis, hot yoga, going to the gym more regularly. We are going to be active. That's another thing we're going to bring into the summer. Okay, so let's talk about Herkyed. So I have completed A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I've got to figure out, did I figure out what letter of the alphabet I wanted that to work for? Let me look at my planning. I don't think so. So I already used, maybe it'll work for H for Holly Jackson, because I don't know that I want to use it for A Good Girl. I don't think it can be used for that. So I think I'll use it for H.
A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson.
Will it work for anything else? Will it work for my name? H or J? I already used J. So that's not gonna work. It's not working for the Queer Alphabet Challenge. New Release Challenge doesn't work for that, but I'm gonna add for August, I'm gonna be reading Cubs, and you chose this, thank you, to everybody who voted on my Instagram.
Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drakes.
Obviously, I won't put this on the actual recording sheet until I've read it, but that's gonna work really well for, I don't have any D's in my name or C's, but it will work for, should I use it for D or C? I think I'm gonna use it for D.
Cubs and Campfires.
That will also work for gay.
Cubs and Camp.
It's also gonna work for, does it work for something else? August. It's a romance, should I count it for that? Won't work for anything else. What color is the, I don't know that I'm gonna use it for the Rainbow Challenge. Does it work for any of the white prompts? I don't know if he's an author tuber. Dylan Drakes, I don't think so. He's not one that I have found. It's not Indie Direct. It's Indie, but it's not Indie Direct because his website goes directly to Amazon. So I couldn't buy it directly from him. I don't think he's a local author. Ooh, it is a summer book though, because it is about summer camp. So Cubs, which was part of the reason why I picked this one, because I knew that it would work for the seasonal one. And I will be reading that at the very end of August, so it's still within the summer period, here in the US at least. So that's gonna work for that. Perfect. Okay, so what was I doing before that? I was looking at A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Does that work for anything else? 3 books in that series? Are there only 3 books in that series? How many books are in that series? And does it matter if it's like a 0.5 book? My internet's not the best here where I'm at, so it's not horrible, but it's not the best. So it has a 0.5 book. Does that count? Or I probably wouldn't count that. I would probably just count the 3 main books. Yeah, I'm not gonna call it a 4+ book series. Yeah. So what else does it work for? Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Okay, no. So A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is only gonna work for, what was it? H in my, H in my alphabet, my A to Z challenge.
So let's update that. By Holly Jackson. And was that it? Was that all I said? I'm already forgetting. I can highlight this in yellow because I've read it. And I think that's it. That's all it works for. Okay.
The other thing is I've been listening to The Briar Club by Kate Quinn, and one of the things that I found right away to be true is that this book has recipes in it. And that's very exciting because then I can do, I want to do the sun tea, and there's definitely other recipes in this book that I want to try. So I am going to get this book done sooner than I'll be able to get the recipes done, because I'm not going to get those done until I get back to Washington. But I'm gonna fill it in here because once I actually do those recipes, then it'll work. It'll work for this prompt. And it was just random. I didn't know that it had recipes in it, so that was perfect. By Kate Quinn. So the Briar Club will work for that. And it only can work for 1 white prompt, but it's also gonna work for a lot of the purple prompts. Quite happy about that. That's it, I think, is my, oh wait, can I use the time machine for anything by H.G. Wells? Yeah, I could use it for W. I should use it for W, because who knows how often W is going to come up. The time machine. I could use it for the T in my name. It's not going to work for any of these. Oh, I said it might work for classic adaptation if I end up picking up the time ships. I won't worry about that yet.
We'll go with the time machine here. By H.G. Wells. Okay, let's see for my name. The time machine by H.G. Wells. And for W. The time machine.
The A to Z challenge is a lot easier because I can use the last name, which is what she said. We could use either parts of the last name. So that does make it a little more simplistic. I'm not saying that I'm upset about it. Another thing I forgot to add, for the genre challenge on her Gid, mystery thriller, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So I'm going to add that one for that as well. Okay, so I just got done speaking with my friend Amanda, and she showed me how to make this little bar that shows what percentage I've completed of my challenge so far. So I have completed 4.3%, and that little bar will go, it'll be green all the way until it gets to 100. So I've got a long ways to go. And then I've finished 6 out of the 141 books that I will need to read to complete this challenge. And granted, it's not going to be 141 books completely. That's just how many spots there are, because I am doubling up on books using the purple spots to my advantage. So 141 spaces that I need to complete in order to fulfill the full challenge. I've completed 6 of those so far. So now I can see a bit more of how my progress is going, even though I won't be able to like see the changes on my actual bingo board for a while. So yeah, I'm excited. There it is. Thank you, Amanda. I will link Amanda's channel in the description box down below. Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life. She has been doing daily vlogging. She just finished today, and I'm very excited that she got a chance to do all that because it's a wild ride. And she's also doing the her Gid, but she's a lot more hardcore than I am. She's doing 1 book per prompt. She's ignoring the purple prompts and those advantages completely. So, but she can handle it. She can do it. All right, so I just left Dunsmuir, had breakfast, a really good place, little high-low in Weed. It's a town called Weed. It was really good. Now I'm on my way to Portland, and I could either have gone up Highway 5 or go the volcanic Lassen route. Like there's a road that goes the volcanic route. And I was like, you know what? It just adds about 30 minutes onto my drive. I want to go see the volcanoes. So there's the first few. So we'll see. This whole area is like a ring of volcanoes, or like a long thing of volcanoes or something like that. I don't know. In Washington, it's a ring of volcanoes. I don't know about here in California to Oregon. Either way, I'm listening to the Briar Club. Really, really enjoying that. It's intriguing to find out we found out something about the murder. And it's intriguing to think about like who could it possibly be and why, because there's a lot of reasons to believe certain people would be killed or be doing the killing. This book really is very character driven. There's not a lot of action. You're just getting little snippets of each person's life and the significance of those moments. And so right now I'm learning about Claire. She's a character who I don't necessarily like all that much, but she's got a very interesting story. There's something very significant about her story, which I feel leads to information about what happened during the whole murder thing. So I'm getting closer to the end. How far am I? I'm 65% of the way through. I've got about 5.5 hours left of this audiobook. So actually I will get it done today, unless I need a break at some point and pause it and listen to music or something. I'm just really drawn in, and it's taken me a little while. Not that I wasn't enjoying it from the very beginning, but to get to the point where I was like super hooked and was just want to keep listening to it. I'm at that point. I love the little snippets of history that are intertwined in this, because it's set in 1950s, so like the McCarthy era, and there's a lot of little aspects of the history of that time that are pulled into this, especially because we do have some senators that are involved in this story and some people that were significant to the time. I don't think they're real people, but they had significant positions, and so it does bring in a lot of political aspects to it. And then we have a queer character and how that was handled at the time, how everybody was considered a communist, especially if you're queer or if you were some other race or if you were just different in any way. There was a lot of fear that those people would not be able to help themselves and would become communists because they're so influenceable. That's not a word, is it? But they're so easy to influence. What is the word for that? I'm getting a little worried that I'm not going to have my brain back by the time the school year starts. Anyways, just decided I wanted to take the scenic route. Hopefully I'll get some pretty views for you, some B-roll, because I didn't get any B-roll yesterday at all. But there wasn't anything pretty to see yesterday. I was driving through Central Valley. It was really smoky because there are big forest fires going on right now here. Well, not where I'm at right now, but in California, there's really, really big forest fires near Chico. So it wasn't a pretty day, and it's not a pretty drive. It's just farmlands, but like not even pretty farmlands. Central Valley's not the prettiest place. some cherries. The thing said he had huckleberries, but I think he had sold out. And I've never had a fresh huckleberry, so I was kind of like, oh, dang. But these cherries are really good. Okay, so I've got an hour and 15 minutes until I get to my Airbnb. And then I've got an hour left of my audiobook. So I'm going to get that done first, and then I'll get to my Airbnb and check in. So I'm doing pretty good timing-wise. It's currently about 5 o'clock. And what I can say about the Briar Club is I can't say much now this far into the book. It's possibly going to switch over to be a 5-star. I'm really loving it at this point. And there have been some amazing twists and turns throughout this story. I really am appreciating the characters a lot. Sorry, there's people that are just chilling in their car right next to me now. It may not be a 5-star ultimately because it took me a little longer to really get into the groove of this. My feelings about it at this point have shifted significantly, so that makes me question. We'll see. I've got about an hour left of it, although I feel like where it's at right now, it's wrapping up pretty well. We'll see what they do with the last hour. Look who's super excited that I'm home. Woohoo! She's like, I don't like being filmed, but I like that you're home. Huh? Oh, you're excited. She's excited. Okay, so it turns out I never actually came back and reviewed the Briar Club. I checked into my Airbnb that night. I probably was busy either editing or just too tired to do anything, and then went to sleep. And the next morning, I think I read that night. I was reading Soul Eater. That's right, I was reading Soul Eater. So I was just focused on reading. I didn't feel like editing. I didn't feel like filming. I will have a review of Soul Eater for you in my next vlog, which is going to be the start of Pick-Pongathon. So stay tuned for that. But the Briar Club, I ended up giving 4.5 stars because of what I said. It took a little longer to get into it to the extent that it would have been a 5-star read. I did still like the beginning of it, but it didn't feel like a 5-star read until we were getting closer to the ending. And the end was really good, but it didn't blow me out of the water enough to bring it up to that 5-star read. So 4.5 stars, really enjoyed this. Looking forward to reading more Kate Quinn. I've heard that her other books are different than this. Like, this is a bit different. I have it right here. And so when I go into her other books, I will be looking for a little more action, because that's what I've heard is the difference, is that this one is a little more character development, a little less action than she typically has. So I really enjoyed this, and I really recommend it if you like historical fiction, if you like character-based stories. I thought it was really well written, and it had a lot of very interesting characters in it. It was really exciting to be reviewing this right when it came out, or like close to when it came out. That is something that I don't typically do. I don't usually read books that are new releases because I never get to them in time. I always want to. I pick them up then they sit on my shelves for a long time. And I've got to thank Herkiad for it, because without Stephanie's challenge, I would not be doing this every month where I'm picking up a new release. And I'm really going to try and stick to it. And that means for the next year, I have new releases to look forward to. Let me know in the comment section down below, what is the last great road trip you went on? I wouldn't say this was my best road trip. I thought this was a great family friend trip. I'm happy to be home though, because I'm feeling the excitement and anxiety and a little bit of nerves about the coming school year, and hopefully I will have a job soon and have something to tell you about. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, what's one road trip that you've gone on that was either a disaster, and tell us why, or it was a fantastic trip. Where'd you go? If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens in August for Pick-Pongathon. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later.